Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video because I'm going to be talking to you guys about some disappointing products that I was really excited to try for one reason or another, and they just did not work out for me. For the most part, there's like a good mix of products that like I would not necessarily not recommend, and then there's a mix of products that like I just wouldn't recommend to anyone. So if you guys are interested in hearing a little bit more about some disappointing products, at least in my opinion, then stay tuned. But first, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you consider doing so before you go. I post videos every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So quick disclaimer, like I feel like everyone does in their disappointing products videos, if I mention a product that you guys love or that works really well for you, that is phenomenal. Makeup is super personal, so some things work for people because they have different skin type, different skin tone, or they just have different makeup preferences. So if I mention something that you guys love, then I'm happy you love it, and that's all that matters. But we're just gonna jump right into it. Like I said, I have 9 products to share with you guys, and I have one skincare product that we're gonna start with. This is from Good Molecules. It's their Super Peptide Serum, and I got this in my Beautylish Lucky Bag this year, and I was really excited for this because this is a new brand coming out, and it just, I mean, the brand sounded cool, and I was excited to try it, but for this serum in particular, it just like, it almost just feels like water in a frosted glass jar. It is supposed to be formulated with tripeptides to target fine lines, wrinkles, and dullness, but I don't notice any sort of significant difference with my skin when I use this, and this honestly just feels like an extra step in my skincare when I do go in with this. So I was really disappointed in this product in particular. It didn't necessarily make me want to go try other things out in their line. They do appear to be a more affordable skincare brand, so I'm not saying I'll never try anything from the brand, but this didn't make me want to run out and try a bunch of other skincare from them. Next up, I have 2 mascaras to mention. The first is from Pat McGrath, and this is the Fetish Eyes Mascara. I recently mentioned this in my makeup rehab update because this was something that I purchased in the month of March, which I then talked to you guys about in my April update. And I told you guys that every single time that I've worn this mascara, transfer has literally come down to like the tips of my cheekbones. Just completely unacceptable for a mascara. And I thought like the first time like maybe it was a fluke, so I tried it like 3 or 4 more times, and every time it was like all over my face within a matter of hours. So it's not like, I can't think of a time I would ever wear this, just because I can't imagine going out and then looking in the mirror and finding out that I have mascara all over my face. I liked the mascara when I first applied it. I felt like it did a really nice job of like lengthening and volumizing, but I just can't have my mascara doing me dirty like that. So I am decluttering this. I will never use this again. I definitely would not recommend this one. And then the other mascara that I have to mention, I feel like is going to be somewhat of an unpopular opinion, and it took me forever to try this. It's not like this is a new mascara to the market. It's the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, and yes, I have recently just tried this for the first time. I know I do have a video that I think I did last year talking to you guys about cult classic makeup products that I haven't tried. If I can find that video, I'll link it in the cards for you guys. But this was one of the ones that I mentioned, and I believe I got this sent in a BoxyCharm or like a Tribe Beauty box. So I mean, obviously I was gonna try it, and for me it's not like a bad mascara. It just really doesn't do a whole lot. And I do find with this one I do get flaking. In fact, I've noticed it's like flaked into my eyes and like made my eyes super itchy. So I mean, nobody wants itchy eyes. Or like I'll notice like flakes of mascara in my eye that I then have to like go and dig out, which nobody wants. So I mean, I'm going to use this up or use it for like 4 months, but I would not repurchase this, and personally I wouldn't recommend it. I know a lot of people really do love this mascara, but it's definitely not going to be a favorite of mine. Okay, I have 2 different foundations to test out. The first is a BB cream, and this is from Dr. Jart. This is their BB Beauty Balm, and I was so excited to purchase this, and then my like excitement just came crashing down to a halt. So I have a couple things that I don't like about this product. Number 1 is it only comes in 2 shades, and I have the lightest shade obviously because, I mean, look at me. So the shade just but the shade just doesn't work for me. It almost, here, it almost looks like a gray. Like, it is so cool toned. I hope you'll be able to see, maybe not. It just looks like a grayish pink color. I don't know, I honestly don't know who the shade would work for. I truly do not know who the shade would work for. So first off the bat, like, the shade just does not work. I mean, even like mixing this with other foundations, I haven't found something that mixes well with it because it's just so cool toned. And then my second issue with it is that it just makes my skin look so greasy. This is way too dewy or luminous, so I definitely feel like I have to set it with a powder if I do use it. It does have SPF 45 in it, which is really nice. I haven't decluttered this yet because I'm seeing if I can like maybe just use this throughout the summer as like my SPF on my face, but I still don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it work due to the shade. But it's so greasy, I have to go in with a powder, which with a BB balm, typically when I'm using a BB balm, I'm not wanting to use a whole lot of powder, if any at all. So that's just super disappointing to me, but I'm not able to use this unless I have a powder. It's just so greasy. So this, I really wouldn't recommend this to anyone. Again, they only have 2 shades, so I don't know who it's gonna match regardless of which shade you get. But I do know a lot of people love this and recommend this one too, so I don't know, maybe I'm just the outcast in this. Alright you guys, and the next foundation that I have to mention, I knew I was purchasing this foundation at a risk when I bought it because it is a matte foundation, and for me personally, I like a more natural, like leaning on the like dewy side, not too dewy because we don't want to look greasy. But I don't typically like matte foundations, but I wanted to give this one a try because I had heard some of my favorite YouTubers who have dry skin say that they really like this foundation, but for me, it was a huge disappointment. And this is the Cover FX Power Play foundation. Now this isn't a foundation that I wouldn't not recommend. If you have oily skin, you would probably really like this. My issue with this is one that is super matte, and I feel like it's super drying. I literally have to work in sections of my face when I wear this because it dries down so quickly. But I have found a way to make it work. I usually mix it with my MAC strobe cream if I am using this. The shade is pretty light for me right now. The shade, even at my fairest, it's pretty light. I got the shade P20. I probably could have gone with P30, but I do like it mixed with my MAC strobe cream. But I mean, you never buy a foundation with the intent to like want to necessarily have to mix it to make it work, but with this I definitely have to mix it in order for me to feel comfortable with the way that it looks. So this was definitely a disappointing makeup product for me. I thought it was gonna work just fine, but no. Next up, I have a concealer to mention, and it wasn't like I bought this concealer with a ton of like excitement. This was like honestly just kind of like a spur of the moment, purchased this on a whim, but this was kind of disappointing to me. This was the Smashbox Studio Skin Flawless 24-Hour Concealer, and for me, this is just a little bit too dry, and it's just not a concealer that I love. One thing that I do really enjoy about this though is it has a super bendy applicator. This is probably a little bit too light for me, even at like my fairest. I probably didn't do the best shade matching to myself either. I don't know what shade I purchased. Well, I'm not sure. Now this is a really lightweight concealer, so if you're looking for a lightweight concealer, you would probably really like this, but for me personally, I just find it to be a little bit too drying underneath the eyes, so this isn't one that I want to wear like consistently or on a day-to-day basis. So for that reason, I felt like this guy was pretty disappointing. Next up, I have a blush to mention, and this is actually one of the MAC blushes, and I don't think that this is a bad product or a bad blush. This is in the shade Melba. Hear me out on this one, and maybe I just need to use it more and I'll feel differently, but I just feel like this is so firmly pressed that like it is a really pretty shade. I really struggle to like get the right amount of product on my brush to make it look good on my cheeks. I either feel like I get no product at all, or I get way too much blush, and then my cheeks are like uber pigmented, and it's just not a cute look for anyone. So it comes down more to like, I don't even know if I'd say formula, but just like how firmly that these are pressed. And I know that all of this is their matte powder blush. I feel like all of their powder blushes are pressed pretty firmly. The luminous ones, like the Warm Soul, the whatever line that one's in, definitely more powdery and not quite as firmly pressed, but all of their matte blushes I feel like are just so firmly pressed that it's really hard to just get the right amount on your brush to be able to use it. So that's why I'm counting this as a disappointing product. It's still a blush that I really do like, and I really do enjoy like the shade, one that I reach for, you know, on a pretty consistent basis, but I just feel like it was a little disappointing. You can do better, MAC, come on. Okay, if I've been going in and out of focus, I apologize. I feel like maybe I can't film with a candle lit behind me because for some reason my camera wants to pick up on that for autofocus. To wrap it up, I just have 2 palettes to mention to you guys. The first is from Pat McGrath. This is the Mothership Sublime Bronze Temptation palette. This is what this one looks like. Now, we all know Pat McGrath is super expensive when it comes to pretty much everything to do with the Pat McGrath brand. So this 6-pan eyeshadow palette I purchased for $55, which I felt like was better than $125, which the 10-pan palette's $125. I was super excited about this one for this blue shade specifically, but this shade was a bit of a letdown. Overall, I mean, the eyeshadow formula is nice. I think it blends really nice, and the shimmers, with the exception of this blue shade, blend really nice, work really well on the eyes. This middle shade right here is really cool. It's like a red bronze copper duochrome sort of shift. I actually really love this shade, but this blue shade I feel like just doesn't look like it swatches really nicely, but it just doesn't read on the eyes like it does when you swatch it. And I feel like this one's a little bit harder to blend. I struggle in general to create a look with this shade that I like. So because I pretty much bought this for this shade, and because this is $55, I just feel like 6 shades, $55, it doesn't necessarily warrant that high of a price tag. And for me personally, I just felt like this was disappointing. It definitely didn't make me want to go out and purchase the 10-pan eyeshadow palettes or purchase any more of the 6-pans. Now, I did just pick up her limited edition like mini 6-pan palette that came with that mascara and then a little like shimmer thing, which also like wasn't uber exciting. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say it was like disappointing, but I just feel like Pat McGrath is a little bit overpriced, okay? And then the final palette that I have to mention, I feel like this might be another unpopular opinion, but it is my Violet Voss Pro palette, and I actually just feel like Violet Voss in general is like a little bit disappointing. This is what my this is the Like a Boss palette, if I didn't say that. This is what the palette looks like on the inside, and I'm trying to decide like what it is for me that's just like so disappointing. I feel like I'd heard so many people rave about Violet Voss as a brand, and it was one of the brands that I said last year that I really wanted to try, because before 2018 I hadn't tried anything from Violet Voss. So I ended up purchasing this. I also had my eye on the Flamingo palette, but passed over that. I know a lot of people rave about that one, and this is an okay palette, but I just had higher expectations for it. And again, like these two like blue and green shades I was really excited for, and I just feel like they were a little bit disappointing. I know the other day I did a look with this Extra shade, it's called Extra, and I just feel like the shimmers are like a little bit hard to work with. They're chunky, they aren't like super intense. You definitely have to go in with a wet brush if you want like a super intense in your face sort of shine. And then I also feel like they like kind of flake off your eyes after a few hours, so I feel like they're not the longest lasting shimmer. Now, the mattes are okay, they blend just fine for me. I don't really have any complaints about the mattes, but for me, I was just super excited to try Violet Voss, and I'd heard so many good things about the palettes and about the brand, and I was just like, they were just like subpar in my opinion. They weren't anything amazing. I'm definitely not going to be purchasing any more Violet Voss palettes. I did end up getting the Holy Grail palette in a Boxy Luxe, but I wouldn't have gone out and purchased that palette. I won't go out and purchase any other Violet Voss palettes. Now, it's not a palette, or if I got a Violet Voss palette, another one in like a subscription box, I wouldn't necessarily declutter it. Again, it's an okay formula, it's just nothing outstanding. And after that, that is going to conclude the 9 disappointing products that are currently in my collection, or currently disappointing me, currently letting me down. You guys will have to let me know in the comments down below what products you've tried recently that you found to be disappointing. Other than that, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you consider doing so before you go, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!